All right, you know I love me some offensive line. Jonah Savaiinaea, couldn't pronounce his name. Now I kind of got it pretty much. I'm practicing it. Is a big piece of this draft. It's a big piece for my sanity, for your sanity. I think we all understand now the offensive line is a big piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to cover what I'm seeing from him as he gets put into this new framework of blocking. We got a lot of new blockers. It's not going to be the same what we had in the past. Hopefully it's better. So I'm going to cover what we were in the run game last year, because that's still the key for me, especially the A and B gap. Although outside zone, the outside runs, they need to improve too. Then I'm going to get into what the defensive looks have been for the past couple of years and why we've struggled. And it's going to be it's an important key, because if you don't see those same looks, that means we're doing something really good. But if we do see those same looks, it's going to be a little bit of tough sledding. And then I'm going to get into the entire blocking unit, and then finally Savaniah to pull it all together to talk about what is he really going to do this year, what can we expect. And I think there's a lot of good stuff, but there are some areas where we have to go, I hope it's going to be good. So I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to try to do it quickly. And not too quickly, because I set a chain up of points to try to make my evaluation. So I know that at a certain point people stop listening to you, so I'm going to try to do it as quick as I can. Savvy, comprendez-vous. Overall, I think we should be happy with Savaniah, but there are some concerns, and I'll pull that stuff together there. So please like, subscribe, comment, view as much as you can. All that stuff keeps Curtis in the biz and keeps me doing what I want to do, which is do this, make them happy, then I stick. So help me out with that if you can, and if you already are helping me out, I appreciate it greatly. All right, so here's the first graphic. This is our outside zone. This is our outside runs, I should say. Outside zone, you can run outside. That's where it mostly goes, but you really want the cutback too, because that forces defenses to get on their heels, and if they over pursued, it opens up for a big run inside, which is always a good thing. But you can see last season, we were 15th in runs is second down. We were 15th in outside runs and second down. Some of those are jet sweeps and all that's the stuff we double, triple, quadruple, 75 reverse stuff we like to do. But the majority is the outside zone. But we were 23rd least in production. And so that's 8 spots lower than our output. That's not good. Third down, we were again 15th in output, number of carries, but 28th least in production. That's 13 spots less. That's terrible. But then when you look at our inside zone, our inside runs, which I believe is the key, because it's going to change the leverage and the looks and the planning leading into the week. It's going to change everything, because they're totally playing outside and pass. So our inside zone, we were 6th least in output, number of runs, but 6th least in total yards, and then 5th least in percentages compared to the rest of the league. We sucked inside. We didn't run much inside. And then when you pull it together with the outside zone, we were middle of the road. We didn't run a lot in second and third down, but the production was low. And so we are a team that gets big runs on first downs. It pads the stats. It makes you feel good. But it's those second and third down runs, and again, I'll say most notably inside, that are going to be the most critical going forward. And a lot of that reason is because this is what we're seeing. I saw in Houston last year this look. Linebacker sitting at 6 yards, the middle linebacker. The other linebacker sitting at 5. 2 DTs inside holding down the entire 5 blocking offensive linemen, and 2 end players playing out wide, and then a corner, a nickel back. Sometimes he'd be in the 5-yard line of scrimmage. Sometimes he'd be over. And so this is screaming, run inside. We're giving you the inside. And this look takes away the pocket post. It helps take away the screens and the outside zone runs. You've got to change the leverage. And I've seen, sometimes they get a little, maybe a little bit more serious, and you'll see a look like this. You'll see still only a nickel, even sometimes when we got 2 tight ends or a tight end and a fullback, 21 or 12 personnel, and you'll see 2 D tackles taking on the entire line, offensive line, and then the end players either lining up on the outside shoulder, at least one of them on the outside shoulder of the tight end, or head up, and this is just not acceptable. You get a little leverage from the linebackers, but this is a front that should be destroyed on the inside. And those linebackers, whether they're sitting at that leverage or the one I showed you before, which is even higher, it allows them to get free of the scrum. Any offensive lineman that want to get to the second level, they can't get there quick enough. And these guys can get to the edges for those screens. They can get to the edges for the outside runs. And then they're deep to drop for those pocket posts. We've got to change this. If you look at the looks from other teams, it's not like this at all. And there was no blitzing. We were the least blitzed team in the league in pass downs, and probably, you can't calculate it, but probably the least blitzed team on run downs as well. But we have a new unit. We've got Savaniah added in here. And so we've got to see some growth. We've got to see the efficiency on the outside runs obviously get better, but we've got to see the efficiency and the number of carries inside. Now, those inside runs, like I said, they can come from the outside zone. The outside zone, it stretches you. And then if a guy over pursues or he gets blocked really well, then you can cut it back inside. But I don't think Wright is good enough for that. He doesn't have the cutbacks or the speed to get edge. He's not terrible. The running back, can't remember his name, we drafted in late in the rounds. He's not doing it. Only one who could do that is Achane. But I don't think we're going to be wanting him to have that number of carries. But when you run the outside zone, to get that cutback, everybody's got to be doing their job. One weak link breaks the whole thing down. And that's the problem with heavy outside zone. It's a big hit or miss type thing, because if it gets strung out and there's nowhere to go and there's no cutback, that's how you get the tackles for losses or tackles for short gain. And we can't have that. But to get into this new unit and to get into Savaniah, we got Brown, Pharaoh Brown, big guy. I like him a lot. That's his PFF grade for his run blocking. Now, you might not like PFF's overall grades, but their positional skill sets, I think, are pretty accurate. But he's a big guy. He's better than what we had. I like the addition. Paul didn't grade out well, but he was not supposed to play. He was supposed to get redshirted. It's a lot to ask, and so you're going to have to hope that he takes a big step forward, because the loss of Tehran is a big deal in both the pass and the run game. Although Paul destroys people when he gets the block off right. Drop 10 pounds. Hopefully he moves better. Hopefully he's better overall. And maybe he's not going to be Tehran, although he might be more healthy, but his power, his ability not to be bull rushed could be a nice asset to offset his loss. We swapped out Robert Jones for Savaiinaea. I'll get back to Savaniah. Jones was not a fit for this team. He's very good. He had a 67.6 run blocking grade, 56.3 overall, because sometimes they get him on the move. He's not so good at the outside zone. But in those shorts, he was able to do some real nice work with Tehran and to dig guys out. He's gone. So I'll get into Savaniah last. Brewer, very good at the second level. He can true pass set for a short period of time. He's a pretty good player overall, although he can't dig guys out and he is susceptible to power. Daniels, I'm not even going to mention Eichenberg. It's like from here to the moon. He had a 92.3 run blocking grade, and he was better at the zone than the gap, which the gap is you're getting on the move. Clear upgrade, huge upgrade. Will he play left or will he play right? I'll get into that in a second. But clear upgrade, although that 4-game stretch was his best 4-game stretch of his career. He struggled with Chicago. He struggled with Steelers until last year. And then he got the Achilles, which is the worst injury you can get. How much will this take off the top of his game? How long will it take him to get back to nearly 100%? We don't know. It's going to be critical because he's, for all intent and purposes, one of our best blockers, and we invested pretty sizable on him. So that's a question we don't know. We don't want Eichenberg in there for sure. Then is Jackson coming off an injury. He had a 64.3 run blocking grade. Most of that was outside zone. They don't differentiate inside zone and outside zone, but if you watch the film, take me on my word for it, he's not good at inside zone, digging guys out. But he can get on the move and can kind of do good with that. He's not good at true pass setting, but that's the thing we got to take into consideration. Teron's not there, so Paul and Jackson are going to be asked to do a lot more pass blocking and holding up on their own. Can they? That is going to be a big question. It's going to be a big piece of the puzzle. But the good news is the interior, I expect to provide better pass protection. And that's the most critical, especially with the way we throw, especially with the way Tua likes to get the ball out quick. That usually that pressure from the edge isn't coming quick enough. So that's the good news. Now, Smith, I don't expect him to pass block too much. Ingold, he is not so hot on the move, but his 54.4 grade is way better at 72.9 on zone. If you can get him coming out of the backfield directly in line to hit a guy or putting him out on the edge, whether again it could be Rucci or Hill, we could see better run blocking and maybe a little better pass blocking on the edge than we've seen in the past. Hill's been pretty poor. I do think Farrell Brown is a upgrade, and so is Ingold. So let's get to Savaniah. Now, Savaniah, he's a rookie moving from tackle to guard. He's had a lot of movement in his positions. He played tackle, left tackle, one half the season, right tackle, the other half. He's played guard, but he came from a pass-heavy system. And you could see his 88 grade out of 100 in true pass set. It's going to be a big uplift. He's going to be much better in the pass protection than Eichenberg or Jones. And then when you add in Daniels, this is going to be good news. He can get on the move better than Eichenberg or Jones, and I think he can get on the move better than Daniels as well. And so I expect to see a boost, an improvement in our outside zone as far as our ability to block and to be more efficient. It's the inside zone that concerns me, and it's the key, because if they're playing that wide and deep leverage on defense, it just makes it a lot harder. But if you can get some runs inside and get these guys to creep up or run blitz, that's when you can get the big plays, because it turns into a play action, or they think it's a run and it's a pass, and now you got a thinned out secondary, and you're putting more guys in routes because you got better pass protection, maybe even more true pass set protection. We were one of the lowest in the league in that. But the thing for Savaniah, the big question, I think that whatever level this rises to, it's going to exponentially help the rest of the team. And that's his ability to dig guys out and handle power. Now, he had some notes of struggle handling with power at the tackle position. That was the only knock they really had on this kid. And it was pretty much universal. Now, he is young at 21. It will take a little while for him to get stronger. He can work on his technique. But going from tackle to guard, you're going to get guys that are a little bit shorter, a little bit bigger, probably a lot bit bigger, and stronger. And so he's going to have to handle that power more. He's going to have to deal with more power. And can he handle it? I don't think it's that big a deal on the outside zone. It could be a little bit of a problem in the pass protection, but that inside zone is going to be the key. What is he able to do as far as power? Daniels is okay at it. We see the Achilles. Brewer isn't. And so my concern is you've got two running backs that are really not meant for the outside zone. You got one who could do both, which is Achane, but he's a little bit smaller and he does need some more blocking because you don't want him to take the pounding. So how this inside zone plays out as far as Brewer and Daniels and Savaniah is going to dictate everything. And I think the only concern, and it's not a concern that he's not going to be a good player, it's going to be, is he going to be commensurate with what we paid for him, a second round pick? How quickly will he get there? So for me, him lining up on these demand-sized DTs, can he dig them out in the red zone? Your outside the zone doesn't really work in the red zone. You just got to dig dudes out. You've got to be able to get into them and move them. He's a big guy. How much strength can he develop with the program for the next couple of months? I don't know. I think that this kid will certainly help us out in every area of all the things we like to do, but it's not just what we like to do. Although I think you'll see a rise in the protection, a rise in the efficiency outside zone, a rise in the pass game, but it will come down to that inside zone because when they wrap up our offense with this thin-looking defense and play high leverage, it plays that game where you march down into the red zone and then the power, the ability to dig guys out inside is going to become more important. And so that would be the only concern I have of the kid. It's not, you can't really tell at this stage. You know what his tendencies are, which are struggling with power. But we've got to see. And again, if we get this outside zone running a little bit more, maybe we'll get different leverage looks and it won't play out as important as the inside. But I'm still thinking that no matter what, we've got to get this inside run game, not power. It doesn't have to be number one in the league. Detroit was only like, I think, 28th inside runs, or no, 25th or something. But it can't be 27th of what we were. And the efficiency can't be what it was. It's got to get, if we can get it to at least a 20% mark, a 20 rank mark of efficiency and number of carries, I think that with everything we got wrapped around here, it could be enough. Not saying it will be, but that's the problem. You've got big guys. You got the Quinnen Williams. You've got the DT from the Eagles over there. You got Barrymore who could bring you problems. And then over with the Bills, they brought in a whole host of big guys to fill out that interior. And you got some guys that are already there, they're vets, that they can give us problems. And so I think Savaniah overall there's not a lot to worry about. But the one thing to worry about is his ability to run that inside zone, to be physical and to handle power, moving from tackle to guard. So overall, be happy. I would say check the leverage of the defenses. If you're seeing the same looks as you saw last year and we can't get them out of it, that's a bad sign. If we're not able to run inside zone and get those inside runs in the red zone just enough to get them biting and to raise the blitz level, then that's going to be a problem. It's not all on Savaniah. Paul's going to play a big part, and the rest of the unit. I do think it's an upgrade in our strengths, but that weakness is the key, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.